How we doing today? Welcome to another No Pro Joe review. Today we're talking about Canon's 10 to 18 EFS STM lens. Stick around. All right, nice to see you. I just purchased this 10 to 18 Canon EFS lens for my T5i. I wanted to see what the wide angle look would do. And I gotta be honest, I'm really impressed. I love the perspective you get with the 10 to 18 lens. It just gives you this wide picture. Really just shows you a lot. And it's a really nice lens, especially for the price. I got this one for $259. And it's plastic. It's light. Doesn't weigh much at all. It has a plastic mount on it, which I have a few lenses with a plastic mount, and I really haven't had any problems with them. But I imagine if you threw this thing on the ground, you'd break it. I don't think it would hold up to that. But basically, it's a really short. See that little gap you get there? That's your zooming. Not very much, 10 to 18. But you'd be surprised at the difference between 10 millimeter and 18 millimeter. It's quite a bit. Downsides to this lens is the slow aperture. It's 4.5 to 5.6. Or 4 to 5.6. Let me take a look. Yeah, 4.5 to 5.6. So it's incredibly slow. And that 4.5 goes away as soon as you start to turn it. So outside, you're not going to have any problems in bright light. Indoors, if you're shooting video, you're going to want to have some light on the subject. If you're doing photography, you're going to want to have a speed light. So speed light set up around, or at least a photography light. It's focused by wire, just like their other STM lenses. So this is not connected. You can do full-time manual focus if you hold half press your shutter button or press your back button if that's the way you have it set up. Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty crisp lens. Takes some really sharp photos. I did notice that when you go really wide and you focus on a subject, which when you have a wide angle, there's just a multitude of subjects. But everybody says a wide angle lens, pretty much very easy to get everything in focus. And that's true, but this lens, when you have a wide focus, let's just say, when you go 1-to-1 on that photo, it's soft. It is soft. And that's my experience. And I've even punched in and focused and taken the picture, and it's a bit soft. Is it horrible? No, it's a pretty landscape, but it's still a bit soft. Now, this lens, I've noticed, you can, like, macro with this lens. It's not a macro lens. And I'm sure a macro lens can go a lot closer. But when you're in a 10 millimeter slot, and you're literally this far off of your subject. You can get real close. Let's see what it lists. 0.22 meters, or 0.7 of a foot. So it's really close. I took some pictures this weekend of some tree bark, and just to have textures. And I mean, I was almost touching the bark taking the picture. So one thing you do need to remember is things will go out of shape with the wide angle, because it's very bulbous. You can see how bulbous the lens is. It's got a nice hump to it, which also your hand seems to always touch it. I'm always constantly cleaning my fingerprints off of it. But one thing I did notice also, I was like, well, why is this thing focused so close? And I noticed that it seems like the second lens element is a lot deeper inside. So I'm wondering if that has anything to do with its close focusing, or it's just an arrangement of the lenses. But I don't know. I'm not a lens manufacturer, so I'm not sure. Anyway, I quite like the lens. In fact, I spent an entire day just shooting with the wide angle lens. Just everything. It lends itself to landscapes, big vistas, it definitely lends itself there. When you start taking portrait style stuff, it gets a little wonky unless you've got your subject in the center of the frame and you're not trying to show a full body, because it bows quite a bit. I got this for $259. They list between, I've seen them between $249 and $299. Just depends on where you get it. It is autofocus, manual focus. It is also image stabilized. So the switches are real nice, just like any other STM lens. If you have an 18 to 55 or a 55 to 250 STM lens, you're gonna know what this feels like, and this is exactly the same. I like it. I like it a lot. It's got a 67 millimeter filter thread. If you're a filter person, I'm not really a filter person, but so that's a bit different than the 58s that you get with the other lenses, 250 and the 18 to 55. So, in closing, yeah, I like it. I like it a lot. It was definitely a nice kit to put, lens to put in my arsenal. Am I going to use it every day? Probably not. But I do find that I like putting it on the camera and using it to get some really interesting shots. And it does. It gets everything in frame. I mean, you can walk right up to something and you're still getting a huge frame. I'm going to put up a sample video at the end so you can get a look at how wide it is at 10 millimeter and some extra photos. All right. Canon EFS 10 to 18 STM lens. Goodbye. I definitely give it a thumbs up. Of course, I'm sure the 10 to 22 is built a lot better than this, but for what I use it for, I don't think it's going to be a problem. I'm pretty light on my equipment. I don't beat my stuff up, throw my bag around or anything. I'm not trying to be an animal with it. Stuff costs me a lot of money, so I'm not looking to break it. Anywho, if you got any questions, comment section below. Feel free to leave a message. I love reading them, love answering them. Like, subscribe if this helped, and that's it. Enjoy the pictures and video and have a great day. We'll see you next time.